All right, on to the upper skins. We did Eddie's method here with the Lexan, and that worked pretty damn awesome. Looks like it lines up perfect in here, and we're gonna trim up to, was that a 1/2 inch 5/8 at the top to make it straight. And that'll line up with the center. The rivets will line up with the center of the cage. And then this overlaps by about 3/8, maybe between 3/8 and 1/2 inch. But then the rivets will be straight. We also have the windows and the retainer things. And we have a little overlap, if you can see, on there. And I think we decided we'll probably trim that spacer strip, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Next up, we got to figure out how to get hole number 5 to hole number 5 up here. Read the instructions. So we did the other side. This is the left side where we left off last time. Basically taped a piece of Lexan here and then over the holes marked them with a little magic marker, then put the skin back on, laid it down, and over those holes where the magic markers, just drilled right through them. I only had to do the last 3, so that was it there. And I also trimmed this off so it's nice and straight. That blue center line is where the rivets are gonna go. And I don't know, probably hard to tell, but the idea is that that line going up the middle looks straight. So I had to take about 1/2 inch on one end off of that, but it lines up really nice. I think I'm gonna trim that tiny little bit there, and that tiny little bit up there, and that should be good. I also just rounded this out a little bit. I might do a little bit more and do it on the other side too, just so it sits a little bit better. The weld was kind of pushing it up. I think I'm gonna form this front edge here that sits flush against this. I'm gonna edge form that edge. I believe we do the whole back edge too. So I trimmed about 1/8, well, probably not even, yeah, maybe about 1/8 of an inch off of this. This is the left upper tail skin. And I just use tin snips and cut as straight as possible. And then I like to use my little filing blocks. These are basically just sandpaper, 2 different grits glued on a piece of 1/4 inch MDF and then run through the table saw, preferably with a dull blade because the sandpaper kills the blade. And I cut little strips in it, and then you kind of just flat block them. Works well. I'll show you. put it up against a tight edge. This is 60 or 80 grit. This is like 120, 150. Hit it with a roll pad. Run your finger along, make sure it's not sharp. You'll see a little bit of a serrated edge from the tin snips, but pretty good. That came out nice. Before this was underlapped just a little bit, so now it seems to be straight with the tube, right on the center of the tube. And cut this one too, so it's all centered. Did the edge forming on that. Did the edge forming on the top half there. I don't know if I need more, but while I had it apart, we also had a little interference here with the spacer strip where it hits the window frame support thingy. So I basically just traced it and cut that out, and real happy with the way that fits. And my symmetry was pretty similar on this side. So tomorrow I think I'm gonna readdress these spacer strips, these stringers up here. We had them initially just randomly placed, but after reading the manual, it tells you to put them in these specific locations. So I'm gonna do that again, but since I've already trimmed the Station 4 closeout, I just wanna make sure that it still fits. I don't think it makes much difference down there, but that'll be tomorrow's project, and then actually ready to rivet all the skins on, I think. So they say to measure from the firewall to the angle on the center longeron, but one of the problems that I'm having is, I'm not sure how accurate these things are, but so I zero it out at 0, 0, so it's relative, that 89 degrees that you need. Take it off, put it on. It's off by 0, like a, 0.05 degrees. Okay. So that's one thing, but then you just move it up here to the next flat section. Okay, it's not sitting on any wells or anything like that, but it's off by 0.4 degrees, almost a half a degree. So am I overthinking this here? Yeah, so that went to 0. And if you put a straight edge on it, that tube itself, I don't know if you can tell, but it's got, play in it from here to there. Like it bows out here where all the welding was done. So then the other common sense thing would be right from the engine mount bolts. So we kind of tried that, but that tab's in the way. So I'm not really sure. It says to be within 0.2 degrees from there to here. So we're at 88.8, which is actually good. 88.7 to 89.1. And I think the other side is actually right on as well. So we do that again down here, just because it's easier. Let it set up for a second. Zero it out. Take it off. Put it back in. Zeroes out. But yeah, if you go up here to this flat section, 0.3 degrees off from down here. Anyway, that's 0. So I'm going to go with the bottom part of that. What works for this plane. And this should be 88.8. Same thing. Super happy with that. So the reason this is really important right now, and I have all these clecos in, I have these clecos in, is because I'm going to put those stringers on up here onto the little spacer bar, and you want to make sure that everything is 100% straight. I've measured this without exaggeration probably a dozen times at different parts of the project. All right, so we'll zero this out up here. Okay, so we're at 0. I'm gonna take it off, put it back on. Yeah, 0.1, okay. I don't know what would cause that, but all right. All right, so now we're at 0. Seems to calibrate better if you do it a second time. And then this is the tail back here. So that's 0. So from up there to back here is right on. So I'm happy with that. And if you're wondering earlier why I took these things off twice, it's because I was so ambitious that I forgot to mark where they go. But one of the reasons, one mistake that I made is, so this is the original spacer strip here. And when I put it on, well, so first of all, we had the stringers in the wrong position. We didn't get to the section where it said, where to exactly line them up on. But what was the other the other main reason. Oh yeah, so when I drilled them, I was kind of at the stage where I didn't have this and this clecoed in, and this was actually off. I don't know like how much, I didn't actually measure it, but when I did measure it from here and I went to put this top skin and the spacer strip back on, they were way off. Or not way off, but the holes didn't line up on this last bit. So I ended up between the hole, the stringers being in the wrong position and the holes being off because I prematurely drilled it. That I don't know, that's two reasons to redo it. Obviously it wouldn't have fit otherwise. And then the other thing I did, I don't know if you can see on the side here, that's what I was doing. I marked a little angle, and I'm still going to clean them up and then reprime them so they actually fit better. So before they were kind of bent out this way, but you have to make sure that they are 100% straight going, you know, that way coming up. I guess when you bend them, it has a tendency to go outward. So we had them like over here somewhere, but fortunately we haven't drilled, you know, Matt's drilled them up in the upper skin. So these ones are pretty tight, but you know, I don't want them touching, so I just filed them out. Yeah, that's where we're at. All right, carry on. Now I have all the stringers lined up in what I think is the proper position. I'll double check that again. And I'm happy to report that they, as suspected, I didn't think they'd be off too much because I literally just bent them in a little bit. They still fit with my nice little cutouts that I made there. So, good stuff. All right, a little more confusion. I have that middle stringer lined up into that hole, which is these skins are not on, so they're just laying on top. And that lines up to this hole, just like they say. Line up the stringer with this hole and line up the stringer with that hole. It's clecoed in the backside and the holes are spaced 2 inches apart, but that puts the front hole, would be 4 inches, would be up here, but yet that hole in the skin actually ends up where that red dot is, at about 1.5 inches. I'm not sure what to do. Okay, as you can tell, that's lined up down there. The holes in the stringers are 2 inches apart. So we end up with this hole being at 25.5. Transfer drill into stringer and trim the length. Never mind. Finally, got the stringers done. So that was a lot more work for the amount of check marks you can put into the manual. And it was a little confusing as to where and what goes. But these ones I basically cut short like it said and lined it up with that hole. These ones I left and drilled the next hole in line with it. Same on the center one. Sorry, I don't know if it's too close. And same with this one. So the top is, within 1/4 inch of the end. And clecoed it all in, upsized all of these, upsized all of these for the window frame. Cleaned some more and cleaned some more. I still think there's that extra rivet that I gotta put in there. And then the only thing really left is make sure it's true one last time, and then drill all of those, and then deburr it and rivet it, I think. Unless I can think of anything else. George might come over tomorrow and help me do that, so that would be a major milestone. All right, found it. It's Assembly Alert 189, and that says if you don't have that, you gotta drill in the middle here where the notches, 1 extra hole, up here an extra hole, and down here an extra hole. So you got 1, 2, 3 extra holes, and they actually go into this tab here, this tab, and this tab. I'm going to do that on both sides. And there you have it. I got my extra holes in there. I hope I can tighten that up. There's a tiny little gap here. So when that skin comes off, I'm actually gonna try and bend those tabs out just to make sure they're really, really tight. And then inside here, they ended up, as you can see, so just like that. That came out good. I really think we're ready to rivet it. All looks nice and straight. All the clecos and stringers going up. I also, so our back tail skins were off just a tiny bit. Like one was forward just a bit more, and if I were to cleco these with number 40 clecos with the provided holes, it would actually twist it just enough, like 0.2 degrees or whatever. But with that unclecoed and sitting on my bench all level, it was straight as can be, as you saw earlier. So what I did is I went through and I upsized all of these to 30s, and it is still 100% straight. Then here you could see it was like underlapped and overlapped just a little bit. So I just filed those straight, and when I have it off, I'm gonna actually just round that corner. I'm still gonna do a little bit more right here. I just don't want any interference when we're trying to put the vertical stabilizer on. But I think that is about it. I actually wanted to stop around 7 or 8, but was it now? Almost 11? Because 10 hours isn't enough. I figured I would continue on that. But now I kind of have my third wind, and I'm like tempted to take it all apart and deburr it and get it ready. But I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow. I'm gonna go flying in the morning in George's plane, and then we're gonna grab some breakfast up in Maine, and then come back and do this. So excited. I made myself a little list of all the stuff that I gotta do while it's off. One little thing is that station 5 is kind of bent up on the flange where that rivet would go. I'm not sure why, so I just gotta make sure I bend that down. And I edge form this. I'm gonna edge form it a little bit more. I think I'd like it to sit tight up against the cage there. And what else? Trim inside upper skin. Yeah, so when you do the outside, you cut that excess off. I kind of am tempted to do the same thing on the inside, you know, just cut that off so it's looks proper and saves weight and flies faster. Yeah, so that's about it. Kind of as I'm going through this, I'm taking the notes, because once you're in the mode of taking it all apart and then you put it together, yeah, I got crap, I forgot something. So yeah, I think I talked about this earlier. I ordered some black screws, black anodized stainless steel. I think it's a 10-30 seconds, but they're 8-30 seconds, and kind of just put it in there while I'm literally crawling and working in it to see how well it holds up, because it'd be kind of silly if the top wears off and then it's shiny anyway. So it's just a test screw. Okie doke. Good night.